problem is that I don't see the Mortal Kombat 2 film having anything that the 90s era Mortal Kombat movie didn't already do.
Well, it actually didn't have any of the things that the classic Mortal Kombat movie, the only good one, did.
Okay.
So the whole point of this is it's saying to the plot of the second Mortal Kombat, Outworld's could put all humanity into the darkest hour, right.
Mm-hmm.
But Johnny Cage is the crucial linchpin to helping the heroes of Earthrealm.
Right.
beat
That's
the bad
actually
guys.
from the games.
Right, but here's the thing. None of the other stuff outside of Carl Urban is remotely compelling.
No, none of it is.
And the stuff with Carl Urban isn't compelling until the third act.
So here's this about that. Yet again, we'll probably say this. Oh, we are on show. Great.
Yeah.
Did you see Mortal Kombat Legacy?
I don't remember if I saw that. That was
All right.
a cartoon?
No. So some time ago, a independent filmmaker with some friends in Hollywood, like he had Jai White and Jerry Ryan, right? He had some people. Did a small, like, 10-minute Mortal Kombat movie. Not even a proof of concept, just some people having fun.
Yeah.
It did so phenomenally well that NetherRealm Studios went to the guy and was like, "Hey, make more. We'll give you money." Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he did. And you would think that that's great, right? You'd think that this can't possibly be screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
But in the way of Hollyweird, they immediately said, we like what you're doing, but here are our production notes because we're giving you the money. Make it more like the video games. Make it more like the video games. Get more of the video game stuff in. And promptly drove the property into the ground.
Well, hold up, Joe.
Yeah.
I was about to get to that.
Yeah.
You know what some of the worst things in the movie are?
Things from the game.
Exactly.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's not that Mortal Kombat are bad games. They're fun games. And they even have some interesting story beats. But that lore is shit.
Also, we talked about how Johnny Cage, not Cash. If it was Johnny Cash, it would be way more.
Johnny Cash didn't die. He had to go fight Mortal Kombat.
But if it was Johnny Cage's movie,
yeah,
it would be a lot better. But instead, it was a Kitana movie.
Oh, that's a horrible idea.
Yeah.
Kitana has never been a well-liked character beyond Gooner bait, and the debate, in fact, it's actually on the Twitter right now, is if you had to marry one, who's better, Kitana or Mileena? And it's not even perverts. It's just people in general saying, I'd rather marry the one with the horrific face because she actually has a personality.
Well, you see, Kitana was a good girl princess in a magic kingdom.
Right.
Shao Kahn
fucked it up.
And brought it into Outworld. And she became his quote-unquote daughter.
Yeah.
And she restores her kingdom by decapitating Shao Kahn.
Okay. It's not great, but okay.
And Scorpion leaves the dead realm he's in to go the nether realm, whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying I know
it. I'm being dismissive because it's shit.
Oh, okay.
And he does this to go save his descendant who has been turned into Scorpion.
Right.
And I could not give a fuck.
No, you can't. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. That series I was talking about, Mortal Kombat Legacy, what made that original film work so well? is the guy making it said, all right, what if we took Mortal Kombat, but instead of making it a video gamey wuxia fighting action adventure, right? What if we made it a low fantasy urban fantasy?
Right, and that was
Right.
part of the original movie in this series of movies, which
Right.
I wasn't able to watch the whole movie of.
Well, because again, that first film, not the '90s one, the reboot,
Mhm.
still falls into grievous video gaming. They introduce a new character, they try to play it off like it's normal, but then it's basically Sub-Zero and Scorpion, Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Because if we don't have them on screen doing Sub-Zero and Scorpion, you won't know you're watching a Mortal Kombat movie.
Well, hold up. Liu Kang was in this movie with Kung Lao,
Okay,
and Kung Lao had been turned evil,
again,
and I didn't care.
yeah,
And the only thing that elicited me some emotion, Johnny Cage was fighting those weird monster people who have like the bone
right,
saw
right.
things.
That's a Cottons because Barack is
Yeah,
kind of neat,
yeah, and he makes fun of Baraka,
as you
calls him
do.
a little bitch. Then they get in a fight, and Johnny gets his ass kicked until he just decides to be Johnny Cage.
Right,
Just not trying to be Johnny Cage, just be Johnny Cage.
right,
And Johnny Cage, with the help of Kano, beats plot to kill Raiden by being more Johnny Cage than he's ever been before.
right. And see, this story is lame.
Yes.
Because, as you say, it hinges on Johnny Cage being more Johnny Cage than Johnny Cage is ever Johnny Caged. It's not. It's not great. In Mortal Kombat Legacy, in the original film, which actually has a different name, but it doesn't matter. The premise is that Jax is a police captain in Shitbag City, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh, Working with former partner and Fed, paramilitary super Fed, Sonya Blade. They find out the Mortal Kombat tournament exists, and they sent Johnny Cage in as a undercover agent. But Johnny Cage got fucking murked, right? And you don't have to murk him. You could have him just get the shit beat out of him. We don't care. But so they're doing a Hail Mary. They're doing a final pass. They're going to send Scorpion, the world's most murderous assassin with strange powers, to win the tournament and kill Shang Tsung, right? And it is presented like a crime drama with magic undercurrents, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
just infinitely more interesting. But NetherRealm Studios can't let Mortal Kombat just be interesting. They've got to monetize that shit. They've got to make it part of the central brand, which we've talked about in other properties that are going wrong. Like, did you know that D&D is going the Magic the Gathering route?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, they're gonna release more licensed D&Disms,
So we get to
and
play
that's
that Rick and Morty D&D game again.
well, yeah, but they're gonna do all the ones. So there's gonna be like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles D&D and Sonic the Hedgehog D&D, and
Look,
what
look,
have you.
I'm just saying, Steve Jackson should sue them over violating his life rights.
that's hilarious in my brain, but how so?
Because that was basically GURPS' business model.
Oh, how do we make D&D but other?
No, how do we make a game book for everything? GURPS.
Right.
But I don't recommend anybody watch that Mortal Kombat movie because it's a piece of shit.
Which is sad because it looks nice. Which is going to be the problem with Street Fighter. The new Street Fighter movie looks nice and is probably going to be a piece of shit.
Because here's the problem. There's only one way to do a fighting game as a movie, right? It's what the original Street. It's what the original Mortal Kombat did,
Right.
where we follow a group of characters in the Mortal Kombat tournament. Then we get to the one who wins, right?
Yeah.
And here's the thing: the second movie went wrong because it adapted the second video game, and the second video game's not a good story.
Right.
I don't even know any of the stories of any of the subsidiary Mortal Kombat video games.
Man, that is a deep dive of great and epic sorrow. I don't.
But I speaking of video games and failure, I watched season 2 of Devil May Cry on Netflix. Well, I mean, I didn't watch it on Netflix, but it's on Netflix, and I have a Netflix subscription, and I choose not to watch it there.
Did you regret your life decisions?
I mean, you know how Adi Shankar allegedly, I don't know this for a fact, allegedly became a prolific movie producer?
If there's a specific story, no, I do not.
Cocaine.
Believable.
You see all sorts of people get a job as a producer. He got a job, his entry allegedly, under the rumor, by being the drug hookup. And then he started recommending things to be written, this and that, and the other thing. Then he got enough money together and he, became the executive producer of a couple of productions where other people did the work and he took all the credit.
As
And,
you do.
and this is put him in the position where he's making the fans of Devil May Cry go to the most recent Devil May Cry game and say, we were too harsh on you, and you're shitting on our franchise. So, do you remember how season 1 of Devil May Cry ended?
I actively didn't watch it. I dodged a bullet, so
Well,
you have to tell me.
No. We played the video on the show.
Oh God, I don't remember.
The Dick Cheney alike launched the Iraq War, but against hell.
Yeah.
And military contractors started exploiting the natural resources of hell. And Dante is put in suspended animation, and his equipment is put under lockdown, yada, yada, yada. And then Dante's brother shows up in the teaser after the credits to hint that Virgil's showing the next season.
Yep.
So, humans go to war with hell from the Iraq War allegory. Worst idea or the worst idea?
No. Reasonable idea done as badly as possible.
No, it's not a reasonable idea.
No. This is an actual thing. There was a bunch of military guys who got together on a whim and said, "Hey, what if the end of days happened? What does it look like militarily?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they came up with is actually entertaining. Sounds perfectly cromulent. Very interesting. Stupid.
No,
Devil May Cry could not do this. And they didn't. They did it dumber.
No, I know the guys you're talking about. They actually designed, here's how we would solve demon problems using military technology.
Yeah. That's actually interesting.
So, I'm talking about thematically. Making the Forever Wars be a war against hell.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea. That's a stupid idea. It's a trite and predictable idea. And as I was thinking about it, I came up with a much better idea? Imagine, if you will, a human war against hell, but it's tonally structured like the old World War II movies that are basically propaganda for the Allies. I'm not saying that Imperial Japan or the Nazis were the good guys, but I am saying we glazed our own donut about what we did during the war.
I mean, you literally just take World War II. You say the Nazis did successfully find some ancient evil that they didn't mean
Oh no no
to
no
understand,
no
and opened a door that they shouldn't have, and now something even worse has come out. You're
no
done.
no
It's easy.
no 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 no, Ron. It's my idea is much more elegant.
Mm.
So it's a film in the tone of like those old World War II films, right?
Yeah.
And then they capture the King of Hell, but he kills himself. And the Whore of Babylon. They both kill each other in the bunker. And so humanity puts the princes of hell on trial in a crimes against humanity trial in hell. That's broadcast to the world. Could you imagine how awesome that would be in comparison to people are protesting the war against the demons because demons are actually Arabs?
See, that's where the fallacy comes in. Okay. I had a reason to comment on this earlier in a different venue and talking of a different subject. There's a subset of people, right, that
Mhm.
think that you can't do fiction with non-humans because you can't present non-humans as anything other than humans.
Well, no. It's not that they're presenting them as anything other
No,
than
no, no,
human.
no, 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 no. Don't interrupt. Just say like that is the base assumption, right? But you can. You just have to do extra work, right?
Mhm.
The problem is that it is even dumber than saying, "Look, man, everybody is people, so everybody is human." If you jump to not only is everyone human, but these non-humans are a stand-in for preferred subject matter. That is always worse. That is
Also,
always dumber.
Also, the anti-demon military-industrial complex company was also an ICE stand-in, and the demons are coming across the Mexican border
Of course, it's
as
fucking
illegal
ICE.
immigrants.
Of course, it's illegal immigrants.
It's illegal immigrants and the Iraq War.
Well, let's see. 'Cause here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let's take a step back. Let's talk about this like someone who actually knew what the fuck they were doing wrote it. Okay. If you said that the American military is fighting demons that are invading,
That
okay,
sounds awesome.
and then you revealed through your principal character Dante, and mind you, I hate Devil May Cry as a property, but I'm gonna glaze it here. I'm gonna give it a polish, right?
Mhm,
You
mhm,
use your primary character to reveal that the foot soldiers of the apocalypse at the front, okay, are just sinners. They're just people who died and went to hell, even for the most minor of infractions, okay? And they
mhm,
don't want to be here and they don't want to do this. But there are way worse guys at the back driving them forward with fucking swords,
mhm,
right? And they're being put directly into the meat grinder because hell doesn't care, right?
mhm,
That works. You could do that story. That story could create some difficulty because it's like I hate demons, but damn it, some of these guys, they're scumbags, but they're not that much of a scumbag, right?
uh,
You could even expand it out a bit and say, well, look, it's not even that they were necessarily super bad when they got there, but thousands of years of being tortured and mutilated and oppressed by greater demons has made them all insane, and they're basically victims just like us. That could work. You could do that story. They don't want to do that story. They want to take that about Donald Trump and the military industrial complex, and it's fucking lazy.
Also, the stand-in for George W. Bush, who was a fat gay cowboy, uh,
Jesus Christ.
ends up getting killed because one of the anti-demon paramilitary guys accidentally has PTSD and shoots him.
Right.
And thus this allows Dick Cheney to take over the government.
See, I'm gonna say something controversial here. Uh, guys, Dick Cheney did take over the government and didn't have to assassinate anyone at all.
Well, that's part of the stupid thing. And do you know who's running the military-industrial complex?
Do
in the
tell.
story. Arius, who is a servant of the demon god of chaos.
Sure.
And it's all about, actually, guys, chaos is the real evil.
Yeah, no, see, that's back assward.
I'm
That's not how
just
that
saying,
works.
I'm just saying, if you're going to make a Gnostic theme, maybe you should put the work and do some Gnosticism, right?
The, the thing is that because oddly enough, Star Wars gets this wrong too. So thank you, Force Awakens, you piece of shit. Light is not good and dark is not evil, right? But evil is evil and good is good.
Mhm.
Chaos, conceptually, is maybe not good, but it is not intrinsically evil. Chaos is a neutral force. Chaos simply fucking exists. Evil is fucking evil and has
Yeah,
and is malicious.
yeah. And it turns out that the evil military-industrial complex that works for Chaos has been responsible for all the plots of the first Devil May Cry season and the plots of the second.
I mean, we're back to one of our old standbys, Larry.
Mhm.
But why?
Well, because otherwise they wouldn't understand how to execute their plot.
No, they
That's
clearly don't
why.
know how to understand execute the plot anyway. It's clearly not being executed well.
And if they at least wrote things as good as the Devil May Cry games, I would have less problems with this show. But they don't. They're just bad at it all around, and it's not good. Well, we're going to talk in a little bit more detail about something we both saw. That's at least more substantive, but not by a lot.
Sure.
We're going to talk about Punisher. One last kill.
Whew, okay. I have my notes actually because I sent you my notes.
So
So
so first, I want to preface the notes with the following: I don't
okay,
like Punisher the comic book. I've never cared for Punisher the comic book.
I'm okay with
I
that.
I'm not I'm knowledgeable about it because Frank has been a successful comic book character, and as such, he fits in the radar of comic book things I know.
So so in the sphere of honesty, to make this to clarify this, I actually for the longest time was not a Punisher fan. Okay, Punisher was a guy who showed up in Spider-Man comics occasionally,
Mhm.
right?
Or
Uh,
Daredevil.
I remember getting the Punisher comic book when I went to see the Tom Jane Punisher film, and that was and because they gave it away for as a free promotion, and I read it and was like, you know what, the Punisher's first entry kind of shit, right? I learned to appreciate Punisher for two reasons. One, I loved Punisher Max, not because of the Punisher, but because it's a it's a crime comic. Like
Mhm.
crime comics are a lost art nowadays. You used to be able to
Yeah,
just do like a detective mag and people would buy it, but now you don't do those,
right.
right? The other thing was a friend of mine bought me a collected Punisher, big stack of black and white original print. So of course I read it and I was like, you know what? Over time, this gets quite good. The Miller era Punisher and the Dixon era Punisher are quite good, right?
Now,
Even if you don't like Punisher individually, specific runs can be qualitative,
now I'm going to do the next layer.
Yeah,
Uh, didn't care for Punisher's show on Netflix.
yeah, no, not a good
Uh,
show.
I also didn't care for the Netflix Marvel shows. I will say at least the first season of Daredevil was good.
Yeah, it's a sliding scale. It starts strong, it ends poorly. The Punisher was a bad show. That is not a contentious discussion between us at all.
So this is my entry point to this abortion.
Tell us what you really think, Larry.
Yes, yes. So let's start with I have a pet peeve. That pet peeve is trauma literature. This is all about Frank's trauma.
Well,
And well hold up,
okay, okay.
hold up. This is all about Frank's trauma, and I don't care about Frank's trauma. And Frank ends the episode just going back to his business as Frank. And my immediate visceral thought is, couldn't we just had Frank being Frank for a whole episode?
So,
My
two
my
things.
my
Okay,
second thing
okay,
before we get to that
okay.
is the mafia lady in the wheelchair didn't give a shit. Uh, all the mob people coming at her is basically, we're just gonna film Frank Barenthal grunting and growling while he fights and
Well,
shoots some people.
well, I mean, how many times did Barenthal have the opportunity to just turn gun to the left and shoot, and just take out crime lady?
Yeah, yeah,
A lot.
and so this is this was a exploration of Frank's character that I think is dumb and kind of masturbation with a antagonist that was uninteresting and violence porn.
Not
At
not
least
even good
if
violence porn.
at least the guy who killed the dog got murked by Frank at the end.
Yeah,
So
certainly.
that's my broad feelings on the episode.
So the two things I feel need to be mentioned here real quick are one, I actually think in the aftermath, in the after consideration, that this was actually based on a recent run of Punisher. Because before they tried to do, what was it, Bill Garrison, the faux
Yeah,
Punisher, and before they did Ninja Punisher, they tried to do Punisher at a diner,
mhm.
right?
I think it
And
was inspired by that. Absolutely.
it didn't work, okay? Because people want Punisher out punishing, which brings us to the other problem, which is season 2 of Punisher, which you didn't watch or you don't recall. Was they tried to introduce microchip badly, and they tried to introduce the idea that it wasn't just that Frank's family was killed by the mob. He couldn't have been a victim of random violence. That's not good enough. It had to be evil BlackRock guys in a PMC tried to take out Frank because of evil stuff that he knew about, right? Because we again we have to,
Which the comics have teased stuff like that before, and then pulled it back because nobody liked it.
nobody likes it. Because all of this, I think, has to deal with one thing that Hollywood is not equipped to handle. It's the secret of the Punisher and why he works in Marveldom, and that is Frank is not insane.
No,
Okay, so to really put a point on this, I have to do the big comparison. Okay, in Batman, you have the Joker, and the Joker is insane, right? And the
mm-hmm.
Joker basically asserts night after night that the only sane thing to do with someone as insane as him is kill him. But killing him makes you as bad as me. Therefore, what are you gonna do, Bat Freak? Right? Because Batman is so good that he won't kill that he won't kill the Joker, right? And the rest of the world is somehow clinging to sanity, to rationality, that they won't kill the Joker, even
Well,
though the
I mean,
Joker should have been murdered by the state dozens of times over by now.
don't forget there was that Superman issue where Superman, when the Joker first tried to stroll into Metropolis, Superman said, "I don't really have a code against killing.
Right,
I just not needed to do that before, but there's always a first time."
right, but then he
And
didn't do it.
well, no, he casually disarmed the Joker's bombs before he
Right,
said, "There's always a first time." I mean, you're just a man in clown makeup.
right. But I'm just saying,
And
like, then Superman didn't just do it and be done with it
well,
immediately.
no, the Joker was scared and ran away.
Right. But the thing is, running away from Superman is a non-question. Superman can get you. Superman can kill you. Superman can kill him at any time. The reason he hasn't is just because Superman has decided, nah, that's Bruce's problem. um,
But
but this brings us back to
Joker's not going to Metropolis.
right. But this brings us back to Frank. Okay, Frank is first of all a self-hating Catholic.
Mm.
Okay, used to be in the seminary, but he dropped out.
Mm.
Frank himself would tell you, if you could sit him down and get him to discuss the philosophies of what he's doing, he would say, I am a criminal, I am a murderer, what I am doing is wrong.
Mm.
He would also then say, unequivocally, what I am doing is necessary, what I am doing is correct, and your inability to do what I have to do is the problem. Right? Now, you don't have to agree with those morals and ethical assertions, right? But basically, on a sliding scale, where on the far end is Spider-Man. I have to save everyone, no matter who they are, because it's the right thing to do, right? And Daredevil, I could beat the shit out of them, but I can't kill them because I'm not God and don't have that right? At the farthest end is the Punisher, who says, "Look, there are some motherfuckers that need killing, and if you're
Mm.
not going to do it, someone's got to do it. That someone it should at least be as well trained as I am." Right? Because the Daredevil specifically, being the big contrast, believes in the system as a lawyer, right? He doesn't say vigilantism doesn't happen, but he's like, we have to trust that people put in a jury in front of a judge will make the right decision,
Mm.
right? And Frank says that's bullshit because we all know that mobsters walk, judges can be bought, juries can be intimidated,
Actually, juries could be bought these days.
and bought, yeah. But overall, right? Frank knows what he's doing is wrong, does it anyway, and often, unfortunately, by the nature of society, it is a net benefit to mankind.
Mm.
Right? But Frank was invented in the 70s as a response to not just real world vigilantism, but the Death Wish movie,
Yes.
right? And we don't live in a world where we actually want to entertain the idea that maybe a Charlie Bronson is a good thing. Even Death Wish didn't want to entertain that Charles Bronson was a good thing.
Right. And Death Wish also didn't take itself seriously.
Well, no, I'm talking
Especially
about the
no, no,
original Death Wish, not
no. I
not
am
the
too.
subsequent
I am
ones.
too. I am too. I'm saying
Okay,
the Death Wish movies didn't really take themselves that seriously.
okay,
Frank was just a guy who showed up in the town, murdered some creeps, and then moved on to
right,
the next town.
right, and we are all about killing some creeps.
And if Punisher was just about the Punisher killing some creeps, uh, then we'd be in a better place. Like the most culturally significant thing that's happened in Punisher was the Punisher killing pedophiles comic,
Right.
and it's
You
wild,
recently commented on such.
and it's wild that the people who helped shepherd that comic into existence don't work for Marvel. But let's get to your notes of this episode.
All right. So we're gonna walk through the notes. This is for anyone watching, and I don't believe anyone is watching, but we're gonna hope this is a scene by scene breakdown at very
You,
broad.
you know what's funny?
Mm.
We're getting about 40 people watching for some amount of time
Wow.
um, per episode,
Okay.
which is weird.
you know, at the same time, I'm glad that we got people. So first and foremost, the film starts with what I call a fake out opening. Marvel has figured out quite successfully that they can get ahead with uh, well-made soundtrack beats. So the
Hmm.
opening of Punisher's One Last Kill is Danzig singing Mother. Right? And I say that this is a fake out because it's supposed to get you pumped up and think you that this is going to be Frank going on a punishing spree. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not. Right? And as you say, as you mentioned, it starts with John Bernthal in Punisher training doing macho Punisher grunting. Now, I don't actually have a problem with John Bernthal's very visceral scream and shout version of Punisher. In the same way that I didn't have a problem with, say, the bestial shouting of the Rob Zombie Jason Voorhees,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm aware of it for what it is. It sounds cool because he's angry. Nah, nah. Um, and they want you to believe, as we've already addressed, that Frank hates what he's doing, that he's killed a whole bunch of dirtbags, and that he is not happy with killing dirtbags. The problem is that even though Frank does hate what he's doing in comics and isn't happy killing dirtbags, the fact of the matter is that the only time the world makes sense to Frank is when he's killing dirtbags, and there will always be more dirtbags. Right? Frank, like Batman, is on a crusade. The very notion that the crusade ends when I kill enough bad guys, or I specifically kill all the bad guys that were involved in my family's murder, is no. He's going to keep killing dirtbags forever.
Mm-hmm.
If you've read the best Punisher Max books, you know not only was he killing dirtbags in Vietnam, right? So he was already punishing before he was the Punisher. He was punishing, or he was thinking about something like punishing, like when he was 15 in New York. Okay? Frank was always on this life trajectory towards being what he has become. Um, they try to imply that Frank's actions have destabilized New York's urban underground, that the various gangs and
Nature,
mobs
nature,
are in conflict.
nature pours back.
Right, which admittedly is true. Like that has always ever been the thing, right? But it's like, okay, did you guys think about how this relates to what's going on with Daredevil when you made this? Because I know you didn't, but maybe you should have. Because Daredevil has Mayor Fisk running ICE agents all over the city on a platform of no more vigilantes. But if no more vigilantes, what about the neighborhoods that are currently being destroyed by that's right, creeps and or criminals?
Look. The cops just make a deal with the vigilante, and they show up just when it gets to a full-on creep problem where you have to take a creep out with a bazooka.
Right. So first we have New York's finest death with three street savages, because we watch a montage of creeps doing creep, right? And then they hard cut to Frank in his apartment being crazy,
Mhm.
because they what they're trying to show us is that while Frank is wrestling with his own inner demons, the city is self-destructing,
Mhm.
right? And to be fair, at least three of these creeps are going to get ganked, because one of them kills a dog and steals an old man's hat. The guy is a piece
Exactly.
of shit from Shit Town, and we're going to be a little warm watching a guy get Punisherized for that,
That is
right?
the only redeeming thing for me in this whole episode.
But Frank is being presented that he has to accept he has a problem, and his method of accepting that he has this problem is he goes to the cemetery and he has an Oscar bait raging bull scene where he talks to a gravestone. Okay. And it's actually extra funny because they do this a couple of times in the film, and I am 100% certain that they were all filmed at once. And so the scrapbooking is obvious. They basically had John Bernthal say random lines at this cemetery scene, and then they cut and paste it together to create what they felt were really important moments without considering the structure of the film.
And by the way, by the time he started crying at the cemetery, that was when I mentally checked out.
Right. Even
I'm
even
like,
though,
I'm
to
like,
be fair, that is the appropriate time for Frank to be emotional.
sure. No, I'm not saying it was inappropriate. I'm saying at that point, I'm saying this is just going to be a real chore to get through. Like,
Oh yeah.
I would watch Starfleet Academy over this.
I didn't think it was
In
that
this, well, no.
bad.
You see, Starfleet Academy is worse, but it's at least less painful to watch. And not less painful because I was having emotions for Frank. I'm just saying it's just visceral and tiresome.
But basically, to bring viewers into this, what's going on is Frank is having hallucinations, manifestations of his mental illness, uh, in the form of remembering people that he knows who are either encouraging him down the path that he is going or are criticizing him for his choices, right? Which could work and sounds reasonable, but again, the problem is that Frank is not if Frank is not crazy in that way. If you were going to have that kind of story, what you would have is you would have Frank doing a franking, and then have his hallucinations be there, silent and sort of helplessly judging while he doesn't stop
You
because
see,
they want him to stop.
you see, this is Frank with PTSD. This isn't crazy Frank. The problem is nobody wants to fucking see Frank who's either crazy or has PTSD.
Right.
Or Frank that's a Frankenstein. Or the Frank that been reincarnated as an avenging angel from heaven. No, nobody wants to see that.
Nobody ever wanted to see that. Yeah.
We just want to see Frank killing creeps. That's
Right.
what we want. It's simple.
The Now, I mean, there's been a lot of debate about whether or not catharsis exists and whether or not it's appropriate to enjoy watching a bad man kill bad men. But
The point of catharsis is that you can achieve emotional release without doing the bad thing. That is the
yeah.
whole point of catharsis.
Well,
Aristotle was very fucking clear.
I'm just saying that postmodern thinkers have come into uh uh debate about it because they're like, but catharsis is bad because if you experience something without doing it, you become addicted to experiencing the bad thing because then you want to do it.
No,
It,
that's
it
not catharsis. You ignorant twat waddle.
Right. No, it's absolutely the recurrent thread of you are what you eat. Therefore, if you're consuming anything that we think is negative, that must mean you're negative, which
I
is not
mean,
how anything works.
but I mean, these are the people who say that demons are Mexicans and Arabs, and orcs are black people, occasionally Mexicans.
Right.
Their opinion is to be thrown in the trash where it belongs.
So, um, as Frank is stumbling back to his apartment to have more hallucinations, he encounters Miss Plotshook, who is a mobster lady in a wheelchair that Frank apparently did not kill because he thought that the Grandma Mall was not a threat when he was murdering fuckheads. Um, and she has become the Queen Fuckhead. And Frank doesn't just kill her and her bodyguard right there,
Mm.
which Frank would. Nor does he kill Miss Plothook as she's sitting there with her bodyguard when the bad guys come in the worst
Also,
imitation of the raid.
also, at no point does Frank, with his hallucinations, say, "I'm going to stop killing people. I'm
Right,
going to put down my angry sword."
right,
Because at least if he had done that, his not killing her would fit his characterization. And
right,
then, as Frank gets, violently attacked, and he defends himself, and then he saves the family, and he realizes his purpose again, then that would be what they call a character arc,
right.
where a character
But
goes through a trajectory and changes.
but all of this is to set up Frank as the actual villain, even though Miss Plothook is the villain. Miss Plothook is the villain that Frank created by being the villain by murdering shitheads. That is
And
the thesis
also,
of the film.
her sons are all awful. including one that's a
Right.
fucking pedophile.
Right. They're all scumbags, and Frank murdered all of them, but they were her boys, and blood demands blood. Vengeance is bad, kids. Okay, but here's the thing, ladies and germs. All of this, everything that Larry and I have just outlined, first 20 minutes of a 40-minute show.
Again,
Right.
I realized very quickly that this is all going to become
It,
very tiresome.
with that in mind, I want to point out that this was all shit. This was shit that needed 90 minutes at least. Not because I wanted the torture to go on, but because nothing has room to really breathe or be brought into focus.
Also, nothing really happened.
Yeah, nothing really happens. Which brings us to Miss Plot Hook is of course a tool. It's a wronged woman castigating Frank, right? We're supposed to empathize with her and her loss, even though her losses were scumbags. And again, this is lifting from Punisher Max badly. I know lots of people might be fans of Punisher Warzone, but that was 3 Punisher Max runs in a skin suit and was kind of shit. But then Frank has a hallucination that helps him come to terms with his interests. And the problem is that this is the worst part of the movie. This is the actual part of the movie that made me curse out loud, because the one that convinces Frank not to be a piece of shit pussy is not his wife, it's not his children, it's not his training, it is Karen fucking Page.
Mm-hmm.
A daredevil character is manifested as Frank's conscience to tell him that he has to go on Punisherizing, removing all of his agency. Right? Then they basically do the movie Dread or 2011's The Raid, although I would suggest seeing either of those instead. Right? Because Frank doesn't live in a regular apartment in a building. He lives in some kind of shooting gallery house where it's all hallways and crossfires. Right? This is played with old jazz music at the very start over a bad action scene. So again, we're back to Danzig and fake out art over substance. And it is all very, very obviously inspired by John Wick style action. Now, I like John Wick. There's nothing wrong with liking John Wick. I'm down with some paramilitary action, but it doesn't feel like a Punisher bit. It feels like, okay, we need to get a John Wick scene in here. Right? Then we swap to bad Screamo metal. And as a metalhead, I hate Screamo. Right?
Screamo is a crime.
It is. And the villainess escapes. She's loaded into her limo and driven away while Frank watches, because Frank has to decide between saving local homeowner or stopping bad guy. And this is, again, after multiple occasions where he has a handgun which can hit people from any distance and just doesn't blow a hole in her fucking head.
Yeah.
He goes to rescue the local restaurateur who is nice to him. There's a extremely gory fight scene, which, as a person who likes horror and is kind of a gore hound, I will say is way too fucking gross. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It is designed to pander to Punisher fans, which, as a Punisher fan, I'm like, how dare you? Then they have a scene with a kid. There's about 10 minutes left of the movie, but basically a kid's like, thank you, Mr. Punisher, for saving my dad. Right?
Please murder more people, Mr.
Please
Punisher.
murder more people. Yeah. And again, the lack of characterization removes any impact from this. It's so perfunctory that it's like, yeah, sure, kid. Mr. Punisher's gonna go Mr. Punisherize. Not like he's covered in blood. Not like you didn't just watch him straight up murder a guy with a pen who died gurgling in his own fucking viscera. This is not a kid that goes, "Thank you, Mr. Punisher." This is a kid that curls up in a fetal ball, closes their eyes, and prays that this goes away. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Frank goes back to the cemetery. For no discernible reason, when there are lots of fuck faces to kill, says, "Sorry, kids, I've got to go kill more people. I can't commit suicide today." Uh, Reaffirms that he is going to kill shitbags, right?
Mhm.
And then at uh, 44 minutes, he finally kills the shitbag who killed the dog, right? Gets the old man's hat back, saves the day. But he's doing it wearing the Punisher suit, just walking down the street, which is not exactly how Frank does it. Frank still kind of operates like an infiltrator. He doesn't exactly just advertise that he's the Punisher. But an interesting note that I made here is that apparently the white savior's okay when you do it for racial vengeance in the
Yes.
right context.
Yes.
Because all I ever hear is how white savior bad, but here's Frank saving old black man who had his dog killed by murdering a shitbag. And Frank also murdered a bunch of shitbags and saved a brown family of restaurateurs. And he's clearly living in some ethnic neighborhood where all this goes down.
Mhm.
But I thought white savior was bad. And the obvious implication is that white savior is okay, but only once you've been through the humiliation ritual of realizing that you're a bad person.
Again, all of this just tells me that Marvel should just retire Frank.
No, they shouldn't retire Frank. The people making Frank should not be making Frank. That's the thing. And my last note is just to remind, by the way, that this actual thing was 44 minutes. It's listed as 48:03, but it's actually 44. And Punisher 89 was an hour 29 and is head and shoulders better than this.
Mhm.
Right?
I mean, it's weirder, but weirder in a good way. Dolph Lundgren naked in the sewer having a soliloquy. It's a
Bold
weird
choice.
movie.
Bold choice. But here's the thing. This is the thing of it. The best depictions of the Punisher are from the 90s cartoon with Spider-Man. They're the 89 Punisher film,
Mhm.
and to a mixed degree, the Tom Jane film. I like Ray Stevenson. I think Ray Stevenson had the look and the physicality. The movie's overall bad. Sorry, Punisher Warzone. I really wanted you to be good. Right?
Mhm.
Uh but the thing is that what separates out those better depictions is that they recognize the Punisher is ridiculous. The Punisher is cartoony in a way that we expect of a Batman,
Mhm.
right? It's not just, "Oh, Frank's going to kill some dirtbags." Cuz we would line up for killing dirtbags, right?
Mhm.
It's Frank shows up to kill some dirtbags with a World War II era assault weapon, a heavy weapon, gun emplacement, right? And as he is shooting shitbags, oh god, it's Triple H. That's a Punisher movie,
Mhm.
right? But they don't want to make a fun Punisher. They don't want you to simply turn off your brain and enjoy the ride of 40 minutes, 90 minutes of action and violence. They want to make it social commentary and deep. The Punisher is not deep. The Punisher has never been deep.
What the Punisher does is he just kills creeps.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. An excellent Punisher story is I read a comic once. This dude was getting out of the city, right? He was a shitbag. He knew that other shitbags were after him, and he was getting out of the city. Okay. And as he's driving through the city, a motorcycle begins to chase his limo. And first they think it's other criminals, and they try to shoot him. And
Mhm.
then they think that it's, maybe it's the cops, right? And they try to
Mhm.
shoot him. And then they realize, no, it's neither of those things. It's the Punisher, right?
Mhm.
And the Punisher, of course, smashes the dude's limo by driving his motorcycle up onto the elevated train line and then driving off the rail and landing front wheel first on the windshield of the car. Because fuck yes,
I
right?
mean, you have my attention, sir.
Right. And so the bad guy tries to get away, and Frank follows him into the cemetery, right? And he's like, "Look, man, I didn't have anything to do with your family. It wasn't me." Right? And Frank says nothing and keeps walking, right? And the guy is begging and pleading, and it's only at the last minute that he realizes, "Oh shit, it was me. I was involved with your family." Right? He realizes that the Punisher is Frank Castle because apparently he wasn't in the know
Mhm.
that Frank was still alive, right? And Frank puts a bullet in his head and gets on with his life. The world's not made a better place. Frank does not find any kind of personal resolution. There's no closure. There's just Frank as essentially the headless horseman of the criminal underworld, tracks down and murders a bad man for a bad man's sins, and then continues to ride on into the darkness. Done, legit, solid, $1 million.
Again, we're here to see Frank kill creeps.
I see Frank kill creeps. But you know
That
what
that
no one was here for?
hmm.
Mixtape.
Well, hold up. Before we get to
Okay,
mixtape,
okay.
uh, the the Conan, the Conan comic was bestowed upon me by my local comic shop,
Oh, nice. Also,
and
something people are here for.
the Conan comic series has been doing various crossovers, and we have a crossover with an Italian comic book. Not a lot happens in this comic book, but it's an interesting little moment. So we have Conan uh, in the middle of his period of trying to overthrow the crooked Emperor of Aquilonia. He's got an army. He's fighting some people, and then a dragon shows up, and Conan's people get murked by a dragon, and Conan's about to fucking murder the dragon, and then he gets transported to another world where there's this dragon, there's evil armies, and there's a whole other rival fantasy faction that's more medieval European in scope.
Oh boy.
So we have a little short run of Conan doing an isekai into another fantasy setting and doing what Conan do, which is murdering people with his violence.
Here's the thing, as you bring it up, because it's actually kind of oddly connected. Conan is similar to the Punisher in that regard. It doesn't matter where you put Conan. The
Hmm.
answer is, what do we want to see Conan do? A Conaning?
But the Conaning isn't always violence.
It isn't.
The time
It, it isn't always violence, but it's not whinging about the rightness or wrongness of his actions.
it's like the time that Conan convinced Doctor Doom to take off his mask. He shuddered for a moment and then returned to eating his food.
Right. Well, do you recall how he convinced Doctor Doom to take off his mask?
By accusing him of being vain.
Yeah. It's like, oh, so you're a Nancy, got it.
But you see, Conan understood how to deal with Doom. He was a wizard and he was a nobleman.
Right,
Conan had the skills to deal with that problem. And
right,
Conan was trying to sell him wizard bullshit, which led to Conan, Doom, and Doctor Strange having an adventure together. It was a grand time.
right. But 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 conversely, because we actually have classroom example of this, you know what no one said I want Conan to do?
Hmm.
Nobody said I want to watch an animated series about Conan mentoring 3 youths.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that's a thing that happened.
They tried.
I mean,
I tried to sit down with a friend of mine to watch the better first animated Conan film, or series rather, and we couldn't make it. And we couldn't make it because I had forgotten that they also took the symbolism of the phoenix on the sword, put it on the shield, and then gave Conan a animal companion. I had forgotten that he had a baby phoenix running around after him.
Look. Conan took a couple levels in Ranger. What are we gonna do?
Well, no, taking a couple levels in Ranger is not the problem. It's just clearly, somebody at the studio in production, snorted a little more cocaine and said, "You know what we need? We need an animal companion." Somebody else said, "Isn't that kind of like what they did in D&D?" He said, "Shut up, kids will love it."
Also, doesn't Conan's other friend have an animal companion?
Yes, his other friend, the very very flavorsome, not quite African racist stereotype of I want to say a Zingaran, has a panther ally,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where Conan levels up and gains some levels in Ranger because Conan learns how to talk to the animals, walk with the animals.
But again, Conan book understands what it's here to do. Doesn't fuck around.
Yeah,
You know what the DMC cartoon doesn't understand? It's here so we can see him kill some demons. Frank, we're here to see Frank kill some creeps.
yeah.
The Johnny Cage led fronted Mortal Kombat.
We want to
That's
see
a little
Johnny
bit more.
Cage beat up some guys.
Yeah, that's a little bit more complicated. But yes, we don't want to hear all the other characters' tragic backstories and how it leads into their fight. We don't care. We don't.
Well, you mentioned it. I was gonna say this earlier. You mentioned how the previous film was katana led, and I said that's a horrible idea.
No.
And
This film was stealth katana led.
right, but here's the thing: is like that's a terrible idea. And the visceral, immediate, knee jerk response to me, oh, is that because it's a woman? Joe's like, no, it's because there was another movie recently called The Legend of Chun Li. Right? They tried to do a Street Fighter that was led by Chun Li, only to discover that no one gives a shit about Chun Li's drama. If I'm gonna watch a Street Fighter movie, I want to watch people street fight.
Look. What I've been trying to get my local DM to do is to run a campaign of the Street Fighter game, but
Oh yeah,
to be full gonzo about it. It's a world where
right,
if you have a dispute with a traffic cop, you solve it by fighting.
right. The cop shows up, try to serve you with papers, and you whip out a Hadouken and you set him on fire. It's just what you do.
And that's the game I want. I want to just lean all the way into that, all the way, 100%.
So so here's the thing. Normally in these kinds of conversations, I'm the one that's like, no, we gotta pull back. We gotta be a little restrained. We can't be full bore stupid,
No.
right?
But for the old school Street Fighter World of Darkness game, be
Right.
stupid.
That's the thing, is that there are occasions where you do have to lean into the ridiculous. You have to lean into the fun, right?
I mean,
What
I would if we want to go fully hardcore, we want to bring the lore from Tekken and dump it into the Street
oh yeah,
Fighter game. A game where a man learns to communicate with a bear through the power of Shotokan karate.
right. The only thing that you don't do, and this is where people get it confused, is you don't lean into it for irony. It's not 2000s era LOL random. That shit's not fun. When you say, "Oh man, look at this Street Fighter. It's so ironic cuz it's dumb." It's like, "No, that's not funny. That's you being an asshole." Right?
Raul Julia died for this franchise.
Right. So, here's the thing. Earlier today, I was hanging out with Ty, and Ty was trying to show me an anime, and she bowed out. She couldn't do it. Okay,
Which anime?
I never got the name of it because the thing is that the main character is getting isekai'd. Everybody's getting isekai'd in his classroom, but he is
Mhm.
so cynical and so uninvolved, and has nothing but mean shit to say about everyone. Right? He's literally like, "Oh God, I have to be in this room with all these other people. Oh, I just wish they'd leave me alone. Oh no, I'm getting isekai. Oh, well, I don't want that. I better escape." It's not funny. It's so cynical, it's offensive, right? So instead, we went and watched 3 episodes of Chicken Fighter. Have you heard of Chicken Fighter?
I have not.
Chicken Fighter is an anime in which giant demons are appearing across Japan, and the only person that seems to be able to fight them is a rooster who does not give a fuck.
All right.
It is literally a chicken fighter, right? Now that sounds
Um,
stupid, right? And indeed, it is stupid. There is a lot of stupid here.
mhm.
But it is done with such gravitas, such sincerity, that it is
Mhm.
the funnest thing to go along with.
I'll add that to my list. I'll add that to my list. But you were going to talk about mixtape and how it makes baby Jesus cry.
Yes. I was sorely tempted to buy it and try it for the show. Like we try it on show, but I could not quite work up to waste that much money. No, the reason we're bringing it up again is it has gained some notoriety more than it had previously by virtue of it's been revealed that it is not only not indie because its maker was a rich girl using daddy's money, but
Not only that,
it,
she paid for the lifetime music rights for the '90s music.
right, but it also used Australian uh, uh, public money, tax money went into making this piece of shit,
Mhm. Because
and
it's
we
there
all
to promote de-radicalizing young people.
right, and that's the thing. We all know how exactly extremist lefty uh, Australia is. No blood, no violence, no sex.
So, Joe,
Uh,
have you kept up with what's been going on my Twitter? Talk about the Odyssey.
I mean, it's it's a wave. It's a tsunami of odysseying. It has been an odyssey to watch. But
Yeah.
what specific part are you referring to besides people getting into it with you about historical accuracy and whether or
Mhm.
not it matters?
I mean, we were also talking about how the stills have been coming out look desaturated as fuck for
Oh
the
yeah.
most part, and Nolan as a director is supposedly naturalistic and against that sort of bullshit. And the racial casting stunt, but also let's ask a more serious question for a moment. The translation they're using for adaptation is also very bad. So, what is it you're going to be retelling the Odyssey about for modern audiences? What exactly is there to say about that journey?
I mean, if you're asking me, I would have gone entirely different, so I can't answer that for you.
Well, no, I'm not saying answer that for me. It's like you just off the top of your head. What is there to tell a story of the Odyssey that is a reflection on our modern times?
All right. Now, I want to be clear. This is not me speaking about the things I want to see in the Odyssey, because
Hmm.
I would go with a much more Clash of the Titans fantastic route.
Hmm.
Okay. If we actually needed to, if the mandate, you and I are in the writings room, we have to make it related to modernity in some
Hmm.
fashions, right?
Hmm.
My emphasis would be on the idea of post-war disillusionment.
Okay. I mean that's in the Odyssey. It's already in the
Right.
book.
That's what I'm saying. You have these men and women, some of these heroes, including Odysseus,
Mhm.
where the name the Odyssey comes from,
Mhm. Mhm.
who followed this man Agamemnon on this great journey, on this great war that was going to define their people for something. And then that something, even in victory, never really manifests, right? And then I would take the movie in the direction of following Odysseus's quest to get home. Not just the fictional fantastic bits. Like I said, that's the bit that I would have been here for. But specifically the idea of now you're headed home and you have weeks, months, potentially
Mhm.
years of travel by sea to think about what you've done. You could piece it together with various flashbacks and major events. Basically, oddly enough, presenting Odysseus as a PTSD sufferer because he was just a family man living in his house doing his thing and got called to war. And the war was, I mean, how long did the siege of Troy take? Like 10 years?
It did. It did.
Yeah. Um, he lost his youth, he lost his innocence, he lost time with his family,
Mhm.
all consumed basically in Agamemnon's arrogance. Agamemnon
Mhm.
is the closest you get to an actual villain in the original Iliad.
But he gets killed. We're gonna, of course, we don't have to circle back to the problem that his actor is played by a Jew and his wife is played by a black woman who's going to shank him. We
Yeah,
don't need to go back to that. That's dumb. That's a
yeah,
dumb decision that was made. So again, all these things you're talking about are in the original text.
right.
So Nolan's not even doing this. He's using a modern conceit about how the ancients saw the gods. And one of the things that in the back and forth that surprised me is people think the gods were a major part of the Iliad and the Odyssey. The gods, in fact, weren't that big a part of the story. And the only time the gods did something in the story that was definitively them was when gods were dealing with other gods and god bullshit.
Well, one of the things that people don't get, right?
Mm,
If you watch a Shakespeare,
right.
right? That's a modern play, even though it's very old compared to our modern
Yes.
sensibilities, right? When you read the Iliad or the Odyssey, though it is written in form, it is evoking the structures, the notions of Greek play structure,
Mm,
right? So when people are like, "Well, the gods are this important thing," yes, the gods are an important framing device. The
mm,
start of the thing is framed by the gods, framed in cosmicism, but the actual events are on the ground. They're people
well,
doing things.
we could talk to Paris for a moment, but something that stuck with me. I had a college class.
Yeah,
It was on war and trauma and discussing it from literature.
right.
And the Iliad was obviously used in this text. It's a good text for
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And one of the first things the professor did was she gave us selected readings and said, take out the gods from these sections of the reading. Does the event change in any substantive way? And the answer to that in most of the sections was no. So, thinking of the Iliad and the Odyssey as theological texts, they the gods are there, but the important things, the front of stage things, are men who are following natural parts of character, pursuing glory, pursuing honor, but glory and honor, when done driven by hubris, leads you to make grievous errors against the gods. And the more you do the hubris, the more it compounds. And that was the Trojan War. That is on its face what the narrative says about the Trojan War. And then it zooms in to the key time frame in the conflict where the war is decided, and it starts out with the hubris of Agamemnon and the hubris of Achilles, and that causes lots and lots of people to die, and it
Right.
causes people to die and not be buried in the appropriate manner, which was one of the most grievous crimes you could do in the eyes of the Greek gods.
Well, see, this is where one of those situations where the presence and import of the gods has to be handled very carefully. Because one of the things I have seen people talking about
Mhm.
in your debate, somebody posed that Achilles was a histrionic, trying to attribute to Achilles modern mental health illnesses, right?
Also, the attribution of Achilles being bisexual is
Right.
modern interpretation of
But
text. But yes.
but here's the thing. I'm going to use a weird source because you'd never think of this as an incredible source for anything.
Mhm.
I have on my shelf, and I have read more than once, the Age of Heroes Second Edition D&D accessory.
Mhm.
Okay, why is this an even vaguely useful academic text? It's D&D, right? One of the things that it points out is that if you're playing in the Age of Heroes, and if you are playing a group of adventurers, you are probably heroes, right?
Mhm.
And therefore, as an additional component of character development, when you're making your character, you should roll on a chart or you should select for a divine boon and a divine curse, right?
Mhm.
And it proceeds to outline these curses and what heroes famously had them.
Mhm.
Hercules and Achilles both had divine wrath.
Mhm.
Their anger was not mere berserking, not mere hysteria, not mere I'm angry, right? It was the overwhelming vengeance of the gods made manifest.
Mhm.
Achilles' actions on Hector were not mere vengeance, right? It was an inhuman level of monstrousness, which is why it was so deeply, devastatingly wrong, because mortal men are not meant to be subject to that kind of brutality.
And
It
the fact
violates
that and
norms,
and that anger led to him defiling the corpse.
right? Which
With
ultimately leads to his death.
and if you look at Hector, uh, Hector was, relatively speaking, in the context of the Trojan story, he didn't do anything wrong. He was honor bound to protect his brother. He was
Right,
honor bound to protect his kingdom and his family.
right,
And that meant he was honor bound to try to kill who he thought was Achilles, who was actually Patroclus.
right.
And then Achilles just fucked his shit up.
Now, you could say that we absolutely have to have the divine presence there, and I think it does add a textual layer to the
Mhm.
event. But if you said to me, Joe, we're gonna leave out the divine fury part. We're just gonna say that Achilles was overcome with grief because his best friend died, and that he took it out on Paris. It's like, you know what? Yeah,
On
the
Hector,
story
yeah, yeah,
largely remains the same.
yeah. So the conceit that Nolan is using is he's saying, the people at the time saw the gods around every corner. No, they didn't. They didn't at all. That was not how they related to their gods. And that tells me, combined with the bad film shots we're seeing, and combined with the bad casting choices that are being made, um, he's showing a lack of care. Let's take Lupita being cast as both Clytemnestra and Helen, for example. Helen was barely in the Odyssey. Her sister was in it a little bit more because she killed a whole bunch of people because she went crazy. Um, it's like what? Probably gonna be 2 days worth of shooting, maybe 20 minutes of film time max. Why get an actress with that high a profile for that? Well, why pay that much money for that? How does that benefit the film and make a stronger film?
because then they get to put her name on the credits so that people will be pulled in.
I don't believe she pulls anybody in. I
But they
believe there are
think
very.
but they think that she does, because if you say that you don't want to see that film with that woman, you must therefore be a racist.
But I also looked over her IMDb, and she, unlike Zendaya, who I think you can make an argument is not a particularly good actress, I'd say Zendaya is limited. Um, she has not done good work in these things of epic scope, but also when she's been presented with things of epic scope, the directors haven't really pushed her. They haven't really given her an opportunity to do strong, good work. So I think it's misguided. It's a misguided choice. And when I looked at the Troy movie had a lot of good actors in it who did good work for a kind of meh movie.
Well,
And
a lot of
there's not a lot of good actors in this Odyssey movie.
well, a lot of conversation has hinged on the idea that either A, this is Snyder trying to not Snyder,
Nolan.
Nolan trying to seize another Oscar nod, right?
Well, I mean, yes, and he if he gets this Oscar, he
Yeah.
can make it a strong argument that he's at least in the caliber of Steven Spielberg.
The thing is that it also is a film where if he doesn't get the Oscar nod, if it is just trash, he can
Mhm.
say, "Well, look, I didn't have much say. They made me make a bunch of changes for politics. You're not really getting the Nolan Odyssey. You're just getting the Odyssey they made Nolan make."
I mean,
I think he is fully down to play not my hot potato if the hot potato drops.
I mean, the thing is though, he moved to Universal because he didn't think Warner would allow him to make movies the way he wanted to make them. So I'm not sure he could play that card.
I mean, he might still try it.
I all of that. I'm not a fan of any of that. And
Well, sure.
they're doing a list of ranking books, and people are the major news organizations are coming up with books, and what's interesting to me?
Mm.
All of them are in the late 19th century for greatest novels. In the top 25, most of them are from that time frame. And they put The Great Gatsby at number 11. Why is it that people keep trying to persist in the misguided belief that this is a good movie or a good book rather? It wasn't a good movie. The Redford movie was actually almost good.
Because it literally not enough people have read it, and the people that have read it don't want to admit to what it really is. So it's got to be deeper. It has to be deep. We have to believe that it's deep. So it's actually good. We just didn't understand it.
I mean, I was forced to read it in high school.
I read it of my own volition. I spent college money on it because I had never read it. I own it,
Mm-hmm.
and having owned it, I now wish I didn't. But I didn't get rid of it either.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but here's the thing. I'm going to ask you a weird question because I want to make a comparison. Have you ever read The Postman Always Rings Twice?
It's been a long time.
So here's the thing. Gatsby, set in the 1920s, is about the excesses of the 20s. It's about the vapid and venal nature of man, right? And it is all structured in this story in which the main character is both the reporter, not a reporter in the sense of actual reporter, but he's a person making a report. He's telling you the tale,
Mm-hmm.
and a tag along. He was present for all of these actions,
Mm-hmm.
right? And basically ends in a sad but whimsical way. When I say whimsical, I don't mean comically whimsical. I mean wistful in the sense that, Gatsby was complicated, but Gatsby was a dick.
No, he
And
wasn't complicated. He was a dick.
right, he was just a dick. Everything in The Great Gatsby is all of these people are gross throughout. They're self-interested, self-serving. They have no higher aspirations than to drink and fuck. And Gatsby
You
thinks
can,
it's okay to screw other people's wives. What do you
at,
want?
at best, you can make the argument that Gatsby might have been a better person if he didn't seek out these people's validation.
Right. Which brings us to The Postman Always Rings Twice. What is the thesis of The Postman Always Rings Twice? This guy meets this woman who is alone basically in a remote house with a husband she doesn't love, and they fall into passion, and a ploy is hatched to see to his murder, and they get away with it. And then it goes
Mhm.
into the actual criminal litigation, and they get away with it, right?
Mhm.
And they are advised, you got away with it, get the fuck out of here. And they take their time, and they waste their energy, right? And there's a car accident, and she dies, and he's up on charges, and he goes to fucking jail. He pays for the wages of sin,
Mhm.
right? And as he is going to away, he is, going over how he got here, right? And the thesis of The Postman Always Rings Twice is basically never stray from the path of angels, even if it's hard, even if you're doing the right thing and it sucks,
Mhm.
because it is way too easy to destroy your life, right?
So,
It is
so
a
let me
better moral with a better intention describing the same thing.
so let me go over this list from The Guardian, and we'll stop when you've read a book.
Okay.
Middlemarch was number one.
Nope.
Beloved by Toni Morrison was number two.
Nope.
I've read it. It's a good book. I wouldn't put it in the top 10. Ulysses by James Joyce.
I
Ne-
want to, but I have not read it.
I have never finished it because it's really
Oh, it's
pretentious.
it's a work, yeah.
To the Lighthouse,
Nope.
In Search of Lost Time,
Nope.
Anna Karenina, which is a very good book. Shouldn't
Uh,
be number 6. It should be higher.
Again, I'd like to read it. Never have.
War and Peace, number 7.
No, I have not read the Napoleonic Wars. Holy shit.
Then we have Jane Eyre and Pride and Prejudice, which I think, again,
Oh,
they're good. They're
fuck
good
no.
works. They're good
I mean,
works. They're good craftsmanship, but not top 10.
let me clarify. Yes, I've read Pride and Prejudice. No, I would not read Jane Eyre on a bet.
Madame Bovary's number 10.
I've heard Bovary is good. I've never had the opportunity.
Same. Great Gatsby, which we both think 11 is way too high for Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
Bleak House at 12. Emma
I
at
have not,
13.
but I own it. I want to say I own it.
Yeah, Emma at 13.
Never read Emma.
Miss Dalloway by Virginia Woolf at 14.
No, not read that.
Here is one that I know you have read. Moby Dick clocked in at number 15.
I
Moby Dick
actually have
should
not read Moby Dick.
I am shocked you have not read Moby Dick.
I want
Well,
to.
I
That's the
honestly think
thing.
Moby Dick should be higher than 15.
It absolutely should.
Uh, Clocking at number 16, it's 1984.
I think I
And
own it somewhere, but I have not read it.
really? I think that's shockingly low for
It
1984.
it really is.
100 Years of Solitude at number 17. Um,
Never read.
really?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it, but I mean it is technically good. It just drones on and on. Then we have Persuasion by Jane Austen, number 18. The Life and Opinions of Tristan Shandy, Gentleman. Wuthering Heights at number 20.
Oh.
Did you
God,
read
no.
that? Have you read that one?
No, but I've heard of it. Oh,
Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. You haven't read that one either?
I have not. In matter of point, this a lot of this list sounds like they attributed books you should read because other people said you should read them, not because they're particularly good.
Uh, a Salman Rushdie book, Midnight's Children, at number 23. Haven't read that one.
No.
Remains the Day at number 24. Should
Hmm?
have been higher. Lolita at 25. You know.
I well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Are you saying no, it shouldn't be that low? No, it shouldn't be on that list, or just disgusted by it in premise?
It shouldn't be that high. It's not that good.
Okay. Well, because see, that's the thing. I have not read Lolita, but I haven't read Lolita because asking to read Lolita is like saying, "Please put me on a list."
Don
But it's an
Quixote at number 26, which is a crime.
that is a crime. That book should be way higher. That that is the modern novel. Holy
Yeah.
shit!
We have The Trial, number 27. Not familiar with it.
Hmm.
The Brothers Karamazov at 28. That should also be higher.
Yeah, I've not read it, but it's a profoundly important piece of Russian literature.
I'm actually shocked that I've read more of these than you. Uh, Pale Fire, never read it. Frankenstein at 30. Again, shockingly low.
Why the fuck is Frankenstein at 30?
The Prime of Miss Jane Brodie, never heard of it. The God of Small Things, I've heard of it, but eh. David Copperfield at number 33. Again, shockingly
Why?
low.
Matter of point, and it might show up on the list earlier, but if you're gonna drop Copperfield, where's Tale of Two Cities and
we're,
Please Sir,
we're
can I have some more?
we're going from one down. So David Copperfield's at 33.
It should be way higher. It's much more important.
Uh, Wolf Hall, I've never heard of that. Great Expectations at number 35. That I would say is about right.
Yeah.
The Handmaid's Tale, a terrible book, should not be at number
No,
36.
shouldn't be on the list. What the fuck?
The Invisible Man by Ellison at 37. Again, this is low for that book.
Yeah.
The Age of Innocence, 38. Their Eyes Are Watching God at 39. That's probably right. The Song of Solomon, also by Toni Morrison at 40. Never read that one. Heart of Darkness at number 41.
I've never read Heart of Darkness. I've always wanted to.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Nobody alive has never heard of Apocalypse Now.
Hmm?
And most of us know that that's based on Heart of Darkness. But
Oh,
actually getting a chance to read Heart of Darkness is becoming vanishingly rare.
Magic Mountain, never heard of that. Housekeeping, never heard of that. Giovanni's Room, I never heard of that. The Golden Notebook, never heard of that. The Leopard, also never heard of that. Vanity Fair, I've heard of that, but I've never read it.
I've heard of Vanity Fair, never read it.
However, number 48, The Metamorphosis by Kafka. This is again shockingly low.
It is, but also serious question: should people be reading Metamorphosis?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not proposing it's bad, but like that is a deep philosophical tome.
I mean, I think that's something you should read in your educational part because it's
Mm.
not one of those books that they make you read at school that's actually bad, like The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
A Fine Balance, never read it. Wide Sargasso Sea, never read it or heard of it. My Brilliant Friend, never heard of it. The Golden Bowl, never heard of it. The Transit of Venus, I've heard of it. I don't know anything about it. Orlando by Virginia Woolf. This I know. They made an excellent movie
A,
version of it.
a lot of these are novels, and it's increasingly coming off like most of my exposure in the period is short fiction.
Yeah. The Waves, also by Virginia Woolf. Mansfield Park
Which
by Jane Austen.
Well, like as a for instance, they had Frankenstein earlier, but why isn't Dracula immediately after or before it?
I
That
don't
seems
know.
weird. That Dracula
Uh,
would be lower.
The Sound and the Fury is the first Faulkner book, and that doesn't come in until 57, which is
Feels
shocking.
wrong. Yeah.
Disgrace at 58, Never Let Me Go, never heard that one at 59. Howard's End at 60, Rings of Saturn at 61, Half the Yellowstone at 62. White Teeth, The Good Soldier, is this one I'm thinking? No, not the one I'm thinking of. Color Purple came in at 65. That's probably right for The Color Purple. Uh, Master and Margarita, The Man Without Qualities. Blood Meridian is at 68. No, Blood Meridian should be much lower.
Is Blood Meridian even in the right time frame? I thought this was 1900s. I thought
No,
these were
no,
mostly
no, no. This is the top 100 books according to The Guardian
of all time.
of all time.
Oh, well then their list is fucked because there are so many tomes that they have not mentioned.
Yeah. Crime and Punishment is at 69, which feels like a crime as well. Jude the Obscure is at number 70. Never heard of that one. Kindred, 71. Our Mutual Friend. Austerlitz. The Nervous Condition. Blue Side. Dracula comes in at 76.
Fuck this noise. I don't even enjoy Dracula so much compared to Frankenstein, but I would not make it 76. It was one of the most well-read, successful books of its age.
Mhm.
It was massively successful.
Yeah. The Rainbow. I don't know what this is. The book cover has a chick covering her boobs with her hands. That makes me want to read it, possibly. The House from Mr. Big Boss. I have no idea what it is, but someone from India. Go Tell on the Mountain. I've heard it, but not much more than I know it's a book that exists. Rebecca, the Little
G-
Brooks, The End of the
Given that this
Affair.
is the Guardian, I have a sinking suspicion that a certain number of books were required to be selected from non-European authors.
Yes.
So there's
And
going
they
to be
selected
a fair number of things that no one has fucking heard of. That it's like, you should read this. It's like, why? No one
no
else
no
was reading it.
no. And I actually read most of the ones that mentioned that were like that. The ones I haven't read were from an author from Japan. A Farewell to Arms comes in at 83.
That seems really fucking high.
It's also the only Hemingway on the top 100 list here.
No, wait, no, wait. No Old Man in the Sea?
No Old Man in the Sea.
The fuck
Uh,
world am I living in?
The Talented Mr. Ripley at 84. That is way too fucking high for that book. The Vegetarian at 85. Turn of the Screw at 86. That is low.
That is offensively low.
The Line of Beauty. Ragtime. Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula Le Guin. She doesn't come in until 89. Again, that's not even one of her better books. Jacob's Room. Life and Fate. Sentimental Education. Invisible Cities. The Known World. We've not gotten to the final 5, but you know who isn't on this list so far?
James Fenimore
Alex
Cooper?
Alexander Dumas.
Yeah, I was thinking that one too. I find it really interesting when a couple of black Frenchmen don't appear on a list of prominent authors when they wrote some of the greatest adventure fiction ever written.
Mm-hmm. The Return of the Native. Pedro Parama. Catch 22 comes in at 97. That is shockingly low. The Road, which is another piece of shit by Cormac McCarthy,
Here's the thing.
should be lower.
I read The Road. It was worth reading it. It is not worthy of being on this list.
The Go Between, never heard of that. And My Antonia at number 100.
Yeah,
So
fuck
that
this
is
list. Fuck this list. I'm gonna drop some names. I'm going to drop some things that needed to be on this list that are not on this list, and it offends me. Three Musketeers.
Yes.
10 years later. Which is, again, Musketeers, but you know what I mean. You could make them 1 entry, it'd be fine. Scarlet Pimpernel. Cuckoo's Nest. Right. White Fang, or Red Badge of Courage, if you prefer. Right. Those are 5 off the top of my head. No Last of the Mohicans. No The Crucible, whether you like the politics or not being irrelevant. No,
you know who else?
No Scarlet Letter.
You know who else wasn't on this list? Mark Twain.
No Mark Twain. No Harriet Beecher Stowe. Okay. So many important books not listed for no discernible reason in an order that makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever.
And a lot of these books were what would be categorized as chick lit. A lot of them are chick books.
Yeah, but you know what the irony is? Back in the day, women read books that we now say are men's books.
Yes.
This is why I'm always bringing up, I don't know if I brought it up on the show recently or in conversation with you, but I always bring up people the idea that genre fiction used to be called romances. All of them were romances. The idea of the term romantasy, right, referring specifically to a kind of fantasy romance that emphasizes smut, is a failure of nomenclature, because Sherlock Holmes, who's also not on the list, was a romance series by Arthur Conan Doyle, who hated the fact it was popular. Right? John Carter of Mars is a romance.
Also not on this list.
Yeah, no Burroughs.
Also a significant book. No Tarzan.
Right. No Tarzan. No King Solomon's Mine. No Clark Ashton Smith. And I know he's our boy. I know it comes off as bias, but no Robert E. Howard.
No H.P. Lovecraft.
No Lovecraft. Now you could say that.
Also, none of Hollywood's favorite schizophrenics books are on there either.
Like who?
The guy who did Minority Report and all those
Philip
things.
K. Dick.
Yeah, no Philip K. Dick.
Here's the thing. A lot of these, you could make the argument that our outrage is that not enough pop lit is on there. Okay? Fine. Let's go with that. Where's Murders in the Rue Morgue? Where's The Fall of the House of Usher? Poe was actual literature from literati. And there's no Poe on that list.
Absolutely not.
And I want to be clear, I named his novels, not his poetry. Even though most people know his poetry.
Also, no iRobot.
Right, no Asimov, no Bradbury, no Clark.
I as much as I love Heinlein, there's nothing he's written that I would argue should be in the top 100 list. And I don't think Heinlein would argue anything he's done should be in the top 100 list.
Well, this is what I mean. This is why I brought up Poe, because you and I bitching about our favorite poplit authors not being there. Like, I, for instance, could say Jose Philip Farmer is not there. If you say that the bar is impact more than productivity, I would have to agree. It's like, sure, okay, fine. Some of my favorite people don't have the greatest of impact, right? But there are writers in the pop lit sphere who have defined how society works. One of them is Asimov, right? Yeah, sure. Everybody remembers iRobot, but the fact of the matter is that he did a lot of other work. Star Trek wouldn't exist without Asimov.
Also, Philip K. Dick wrote a lot of really weird, really challenging things that are still relevant and still have social commentary on life today.
Right.
You know, I don't think the criterion for this list was any good.
No, this criterion for this list was trash. I in fact think we should start a project. I think you need to get a hold of Church, get a hold of Ayrton, even if they can't be here. We need to start a project of our own.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's an interesting thing. On my Substack, I got asked by an author who I follow, what are some good comics to read,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I went deep. I went all out, and I said, you know what? Here's a list. And I said, the classics are classic for a reason. So I gave the following list. We're going to use this as our starting place, but we're not. This is not final in any way, shape, or form,
Mm-hmm.
right? I said Marvel Superhero Secret Wars 84 to 85, right?
Mm-hmm.
Infinity Gauntlet 91, Infinity War 92, and Infinity Crusade 93. I said Dark Phoenix Saga in 76 and 80. Okay. If
Mm-hmm.
Marvel wasn't their thing, I said check out Arkham Asylum, Serious House on a Serious Earth, 89, right? You could also do Dark Knight Returns, 86, Strikes Again in 2001, and Dark Knight 3 in 2015. There's also Batman Year One, 87, right? I said I'd suggest some Shadow, Conan, or Solomon Kane, but those comics are finding a good collection is hard, right?
I
Um,
I'm extremely bullish on Titan Comics Conan.
oh yeah, but I said if you don't mind violent science fiction, I proposed checking out the Dark Horse run of Predator, especially Predator Race War in '93, right? And they were super enthusiastic to get this list. They were like, "Oh, this is amazing." So I put to you that what we should do by way of resistance, la resistance, is we should make the official Gospel of Comics top 100 must reads. What are the must read books? And we can emphasize comics because we're a comics channel theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
That you should read before you die.
Mm-hmm. That'd be fun.
You think that this is something we should grab Ayrton and Church on and get them to put down
Yeah,
some deeds?
get them to contribute. So did you hear about what Peter Jackson did recently in an interview?
Yes, and I actually have a I think an interesting input on this. So you're talking about what High King Fëanor, friend
Yeah.
of the of us at least, said about uh, Christopher Tolkien making uh, pushes to get the Silmarillion and the other material that Amazon didn't grab up from the Tolkien estate,
Mm-hmm. Well, more
right?
importantly, Jackson didn't make a move to acquire those rights until after Christopher died,
Right.
and
So
they didn't do Rings of Power until after Christopher died.
right, but I'm gonna read what he said first, and then I wanna comment on it. So Amazon waited for Christopher Tolkien to die before they began filming Rings of Slop. Jackson and Warner Brothers waited for Christopher to die before they contacting the Nepo babies at the Tolkien estate to obtain more rights. On behalf of the Tolkien fandom, screw all parties involved, especially Jackson. Dude said it's spiteful when talking about Christopher. Well, let me retort to this by dropping some history. So Tolkien was approached to make a Lord of the Kings movie, Lord of the Rings movie, when he was still alive,
Mm-hmm.
decades ago, and refused. He
Mm-hmm.
agreed to the Rankin Bass animated features under duress, basically because he didn't like what um, uh, the guy who did
Disney.
Fritz the Cat had done with their version of Lord of the Rings,
He also
right?
didn't like what Disney was proposing to do.
Right. But then he wasn't going to make a movie. His opinion was there was never going to be a Lord of the Rings movie. Christopher Tolkien waited until Dad died to broach the subject with movie theaters or with movie studios. And you can believe me, he got his. He got a fat fucking payday.
Well, I
All
mean,
right?
the Tolkien estate got a payday because when
Right.
you're that rich, you don't get the payday; the estate
Right.
gets the payday.
But I want to make sure that it is clearly understood here. Christopher Tolkien grew up in his dad's shadow,
Mm-hmm.
supposedly worked with his father on the Silmarillion, right? And you can't see it, but I'm making massive fucking quotation marks around the words "worked with." Okay, all right.
Mhm.
Christopher Tolkien spent his entire creative career basically trafficking, dining on his father's name,
Mhm.
and then he died. And you go, oh well, now they're going to the nepo babies. Yeah, because Christopher Tolkien wouldn't sell.
But I mean, in fairness, Christopher at least understood the value of curating the estate.
Sure, but I'm just saying he is not an innocent here. No one here is the good guy being menaced by the evil film companies.
But here is what I want to go a little bit deeper.
Sure.
If the Silmarillion was actually that good,
Which is not.
Tolkien would have published it earlier.
Right.
In fact, it was Christopher who published it after his dad's death, if I
Right.
recall
Because
correctly.
it was never finished. Christopher,
And
quote, finished it. But we don't know how complete it was when he, quote unquote, finished it.
and the ideas in the published Silmarillion aren't finished. They're very broad stroke ideas
Right.
that occasionally a story emerges out of. So I think the three Lord of the Rings movies, one for each book, and a Hobbit movie is all there is. I don't
Yeah.
think that there's enough material that's been refined enough to expand the universe. I just don't see it.
I mean, you are objectively correct. If you're looking for me to give a dissenting opinion, there isn't one. There's nothing there.
No, there's nothing there. Also, the ending of the Boys series is coming up, and they've reminded the audience that they're not using the ending from the comics. And I want to pose a question to you. The Boys comics were shit. We agree they're shit. Garth Ennis, he's a shit writer unless he's writing certain very narrow kinds of characters. And this
Right.
was an extremely spiteful work by him.
Yep.
But the ending of the comics, Homelander, has been gaslit by his clone into thinking he was evil and slowly driven insane and becomes an evil monster because he thinks he was being one all this time. And his clone was the backup whose one purpose in life was to stop Homelander from when he went too far. And Homelander never did, so he had to trick him into going too far. Isn't that
Right.
a at least something worthy of artistic exploration?
I mean, maybe, but the fact of the matter is that the Boys was always shit. So any discussion that starts with "could the Boys be good?" the answer is no.
Well, no. I'm saying that that idea of innocence was one of the few ideas in the Boys that was worthy of any exploration.
Right, which is why they couldn't do it.
And also, um, do you know when the first evil Superman story came out that was not just strictly Superman?
I do not, in fact.
1969 at Marvel Comics. That was when they introduced Hyperion. Do you know when the first non-Marvel or DC, I'm going to put an asterisk there, because this asterisk is important, evil Superman character was?
No.
Kid Miracle Man in 1982. What do you notice between 1982 and 1969?
It skips the 70s almost entirely.
No. There's a gap of time. There's a
Okay.
gap of time.
Yeah.
And then there's the modern spate of evil Superman, which starts with Omni Man, which came out in 2008 ish.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you, Joe? To be successful at telling an evil Superman story, nobody else needs to tell one for a while.
Right.
You need to take that idea, you need to put it in the Disney vault. Michael Eisner was correct. Sometimes for certain stories, you have to take them, put them in the vault, and then bring them back out. Otherwise, people will go, "This is kind of shit."
I mean, this is why we're not going to be watching or not going to be reading the next major Marvel event.
Which of the one major Marvel events are you referring to?
Oh, Marvel's version of Absolute, where they're going to have what if everybody was vampires again?
Yeah, yeah.
I
You
mean,
know,
they just did that story less than a year ago, but let's do it again.
Joe. I read a really good "What If" comic based around that premise. You know what
Okay,
it was?
do
What if
tell.
Wolverine became the king of all vampires?
When was this made, and why does this exist?
It was made as a "What If" comic in the
Right.
1990s,
So
and
yet again, something that we did 30 years ago that maybe we shouldn't revisit.
but what happened was Wolverine became very aggressive at turning all the superhumans into vampires, starting with the mutants. And then he quickly went from there to all of the elite tier humans and basically became a vampire dominated Earth. And the ghost of Stephen Strange, along with some other people, had to convince Wolverine, you need to read the magical spell in the Darkhold to turn all the vampires into ash. So Wolverine, as a good boy, uh, turned his back on vampirism and saved humanity. That's one comic book. That's one comic book worth of story. It's not an event.
Well, there's that, and also because I was there. I remember when it was the big reveal that uh, What If comics were going to take a dark turn. Um, what If used to be the clearinghouse for ideas that would violate continuity, right?
Mhm.
Instead of making entire runs or having distaff side stories, where you just ruin the character, you just had a single what if issue where you addressed, hey, what if a thing happened?
Mhm. They used to be very much, what if this event didn't happen the way it happened? It
Right.
happened in a different way. What if it was a good comic? And they ruined it.
Yeah.
Uh, and Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano lost to Ronda Rousey in 20 seconds, which was sad.
Well,
But
well, I actually asked a question in that thread. I didn't get an
mhm,
answer, but I think it's a vital question to ask, which is, did Ronda Rousey get rid of Edmund Tervaden?
I don't know.
Because see, the thing is if you follow her career at all, she got basically roped in by this guy who might have been a snake oil salesman and was supposedly teaching her to box, and that was why her capabilities had gone down, because Ronda's not a boxer, she's a grappler,
Yeah,
right?
but
If
the
if she's gone
interesting
back to being a judoka, she's actually pretty good. Mm.
yeah the reason that Gina Carano likely lost is she had to lose 100 pounds to get back into fighting shape.
Right.
And if you're going to lose 100 pounds, you're not in a position to be able to get back into the muscles you'll need to be a successful fighter, which was a shame because they're not going to do this fight again.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that Gina's going to get into some acting again.
I mean, one would hope. She deserves a fair shake. She didn't get one from Disney.
She did not. She did not. So I think this was a good show.
Well, let me see what else we got here, because there was one thing we didn't talk about yet, but I want to see if we had anything else on the side here. Um, and that is a moment of, not even a moment of silence, just a moment of recognition. The death of Read Comics Online.
Oh yeah, Reed Comics died.
Yep. Now, to be clear, that is a piracy website. We should not, in practice, endorse piracy. Alternative means of seeing things you didn't pay for is bad, kids. Okay, but I just want to comment on something really interesting because I sent a note, but I can't find it. We've got a lot of stuff that we talk about in the chat that we never get to, which is Neon from Clownfish got on his high horse to rant about this. Then he backpedaled a little bit. Then he doubled down. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to postulate that he and others have just simply misunderstood a problem, because Read Comics Online is like a ROM site back when ROMs were more common.
Mm-hmm.
See, ROMs are not themselves illegal. Emulators are not themselves illegal, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is illegal is emulating games you don't own, which means if you take a copy of Super Mario Brothers and you remove all the Super Mario Brothers related uh, uh, pixels and you replace it with something else, or you make your own, that's legal because it's transformative as a work, right? But if you make Super Mario Brothers and you just put Super Mario Brothers out there, that's illegal because you don't own Super Mario Brothers. You're stealing from Nintendo, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that Read Comics Online and its defenders have said the same thing that ROM makers said, which is part of this is preservationist. We're preserving old comics that are wildly out of print,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is true, which is 100% true. And if it was just preserving old comics, and if there was a clear benchmark where we say,
Mm-hmm.
look, man, we don't preserve anything that isn't older than 19, or anything that isn't younger than 1966, I'd be like, done. Keep that website, right? But we have to be honest with ourselves. We all know why they got shut down. They got shut down because they kept posting new comics less than a week old. Because that's how ROM sites got killed. Not because of old games. Nintendo might have bitched and moaned and raised a fuss, but no one was going to make a stink about Mario Brothers the original,
Mm-hmm.
right? What killed ROM sites was emulators and ROMs to allow you to play the newest Final Fantasy game less than a week after release without paying for it. When we talk about support the comics if you really want to, yeah, buy the new comics, people. That's what you have to support.
Well, we're gonna wrap this, but I think we need to talk more about piracy next week.
Hopefully, we'll have an Ayrton or a Church around.
Hopefully.
Daddy Church, please come back from the store. It can't be that hard to get smokes and a bottle of milk.
I mean, it is because churches have to work a lot of extra hours to take care of his kids.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I mean, we can make the joke, but
No, I actually hope churches do it okay. I would just like to have more of a heads up, send up more of a flare, be like, I'm alive, guys. I'd love to come
yeah.
hang out with you.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Doot, doot.